Stephen Ellis and the Next Wave. He is joining us live from behind the scenes for day 2 of the NHL draft. We'll talk about what could happen on day 2 of the draft, Stephen, but I guess I'll start with this, the big question. What did you make of the Ducks snagging Carlson at 2 and passing up on Fantilli?
I don't think that's the right move. We all week long we kind of heard that was a possibility. I know with Carlson, there's so much there you can get. Being a 6'3" forward, he's got good skating, good skill with the puck. Like this guy is as complete of a player as you could possibly get, and guy who could go play in the NHL next year. Fantilli would have been my pick though. That's just a guy that I don't want to just look at how well he played against college. Just every level he's played, he's been dominant. Even in international hockey, if you looked at some of the advanced stats, this is a guy that doesn't get enough credit for what he does. So I would have picked Fantilli at number 2, but the margin was pretty close. You can go with either pick, and I think he'll be fine.
So got to ask you about number 28 overall. The Toronto Maple Leafs make what a lot of people saw as the most confounding selection in round 1. They go with Easton Cowan, a winger, obviously an Ontario kid. But what do you think of the Leafs and their decision to go with Cowan in that spot?
I don't get that one at all. With Easton Cowan, at the time I was saying like that was probably the biggest reach we've seen in a long time. And this is a guy I ranked 78th and he went 28th. Now that's just my personal rankings, but talking to some NHL scouts, talking to some other public scouts, they are all saying the same thing. Like some didn't think he was going to go to the 4th or 5th round. So they must see something they really like there. 53 points in 68 regular season games is nothing special. He was very good in the playoffs. Was a point per game player there and just overall one of the best players that London had, but not a guy that I would think you could be getting in the first round. I thought he'd still be around in the 3rd. So again, I don't get this one for Toronto, but they believe in him, and it was interesting to kind of see like Wes Clark was excited about that pick, and the whole the coaching staff and everybody excited. But just talking to other scouts, they're just like, this makes no sense. So I don't get it. He's a decent skater, good work ethic. I just don't think there's enough offense for him to be like this guy that really is an impact player, especially with some of the players that were still around.
So, Stephen, when you size up round 1, who are the teams that you thought, graded out? And look, I hate grades doing it the day after or even a week after. This is something we're going to learn in 5 years. But based on what you've seen of these players, give me 3 teams that did really well in round 1.
I don't want to say Chicago, but I love that Oliver Moore pick. I got to go with the Philadelphia Flyers. Going out there and getting Michkov, the guy they believed in, and everyone should have been looking at. Getting him at number 7, I think, is very good. You've got your next future superstar right there. Oliver Bonk, as that second pick, was another good one. One of the best defensemen on the market there. A nice modern day defender who can do a bit of everything. And the team needed a good defensive pick there, so I like that one. The last pick in the draft went to the Vegas Golden Knights, and I thought David Edstrom was an outstanding pick. Vegas likes to trade away the first round pick. So who knows if Edstrom will ever play a game for them, but he's got good size. He's 6'3", uses his size to his advantage, scored everywhere he played this year. Good long-term NHL future. The other one being Arizona, picking the 2 Russians. There's always a bit of risk when you do that, but going out there and getting Daniil Butt and getting Dmitry Simashev, 2 teammates, that might make it easier for those 2 guys to actually decide to come over and then play together. And because you never know kind of what happens to these Russian players, but 2 players, I think that I rated a little lower, but I think they're good value picks. And for the Coyotes, I think they're going to be slam dunks.
It's funny that you mentioned the 2 picks from Arizona. You should have seen me struggling last night. Do I call him Daniil Boot or Daniil Butt or whatever it is? So I had a field day trying to figure that out. But to wrap up from my end, Stephen, when you look at who's available to start round 2, I expect there to be some jockeying with the first handful of picks, because I think some teams that are outside of that would like to try and get in that range. And 2, a couple teams that I've spoken to this morning, they think that they'd like to try and trade back. Give me 2, 3, 4 players to keep an eye on as you think are some of the best values remaining on your board.
Well, it's good timing because I put a top 15 on the list on Daily Faceoff this morning. But Andrew Cristal, the left winger from Kelowna, if he didn't have a lower body injury, he was going to have 100 points this year. And a guy that grew up with Bedard, and you could tell just the way he's so talented. Issue is his skating, and he's 5'8". Riley Heidt, one of the best point producers in the WHL, a huge part of Prince George's resurgence this year. I know scouts were hoping to kind of see him become more of a consistent producer, but I think that he's still a guy that's got a good future. He's just a bit undersized. It's kind of keeping with that that frame, Gavin Brindley, a winger out of the University of Michigan, if it wasn't for how good Adam Fantilli was, we're talking about Brindley being one of the best college freshmen in a long time. Just again, another small guy at 5'9", and then Grayson Sachin out of Seattle. He left the U.S. National Development Team last year to get more ice time. He got that in Seattle, got to play in the Memorial Cup, scored at a point per game pace, and looked really good in the playoffs. So those are the guys that I'd be looking at to go early today.
Stephen, it was one of the hot debates leading up to the draft. No goalies go in round one. How surprised were you that someone like Hrabal didn't end up going off the board in the first 32 picks?
You know, I didn't believe that there was going to be one at first. And then from talking to some scouts in the last week and a half, there were a lot that thought, San Jose specifically was going to maybe use their second pick to grab a goalie. So to not see Hrabal, though, I think was interesting. But I think we see in the second round, that's when the floodgates start to happen.
There you go, Stephen. Appreciate your insight, man. Look forward to your coverage on day 2. Enjoy it.
Thanks so much.